When I got the night janitor job at that old office building downtown, I thought it'd be easy money. The building was quiet, run down, but nothing too scary. Just some peeling paint, creaky floors, and flickering fluorescent lights that made every shadow look alive. I worked the midnight to 6 a.m. shift, expecting long hours of boredom. The first night, I was finishing mopping the lobby when I bumped into two older guys, the veteran cleaning crew. They looked like they'd been here forever. Tired eyes, faces that had seen things, maybe even things they wished they hadn't. One of them, a grizzled man named Tom, pulled me aside with a serious look. "Kid," Tom said quietly, "there's one rule here you don't break. Don't go down to the basement after 3 a.m. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, just don't." I laughed nervously. "What's down there? Rats?" Tom shook his head. "No rats. Something else. Shadows that don't belong. Whispers you don't want to hear." I smiled, trying to sound brave. "Sounds like a ghost story." Tom's eyes narrowed. "You don't want to be the next one telling it." I shrugged it off and got back to work. But as the clock ticked closer to 3 a.m., the building's atmosphere changed. The air grew colder. The fluorescent lights flickered harder, buzzing louder like they were warning me. I was near the stairwell when, suddenly, the basement lights flickered on. Nobody down there. I heard a faint whisper. My name, carried on the stale air. My heart pounded, but my feet moved of their own accord. Step by step, I descended. The basement was a frozen wasteland, cold and dark, the walls peeling and pipes dripping with water that echoed in the silence. Shadows twisted and danced, forming shapes that almost looked human. At the far end, a dark figure stood perfectly still, watching me. I blinked, and it was gone. The whisper came again, louder. "Get out, before it's too late." Panic exploded in my chest. I ran, my footsteps echoing as I scrambled up the stairs and burst into the lobby. I didn't stop until I was outside, gulping in the cold night air, heart hammering. From that night on, I never stayed past 3 a.m., and I never went near that basement. Driving the city bus during the 2 a.m. shift usually means empty streets, quiet stops, and the hum of the engine as my only company. I've gotten used to the solitude. It's peaceful, almost comforting. But that night, something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew. I pulled up to a dimly lit bus stop on the outskirts of town, near some abandoned warehouses. The street lamp flickered weakly overhead. An old man shuffled onto the bus. His coat was threadbare, and he clutched a small bag that looked decades old. He didn't say a word or even glance at me, just made his way slowly to the back and sat down in the last row. As I pulled away, I kept stealing glances in the rearview mirror. But something wasn't right. There was no reflection of the old man in the glass. The seat behind me looked empty. I shook my head. Maybe I was tired, imagining things. I tried breaking the silence. "Long night, huh?" No response, just the sound of the engine and the occasional creak of the bus settling on the road. Then I looked back again. His eyes met mine, but they weren't quite normal. They glowed faintly in the dim light, like dying embers flickering against the dark. My hands tightened on the wheel. I swallowed hard, fighting the chill creeping up my spine. At the last stop, I turned around to say goodbye. But the seat was empty. No footsteps, no sound of him leaving, just silence. A cold breeze brushed the back of my neck. I shivered. Then, barely above the hum of the bus, I heard a whisper. "Thanks for the ride. I haven't taken that route alone since." Working as a night security guard at a corporate office building is usually the definition of boredom. My job was simple: monitor security cameras, check doors, make sure no one was sneaking in after hours. The building was old, but well maintained, and the night shifts were quiet until last week. Around midnight, I noticed something strange on the security monitors. The feeds would glitch, freeze for a split second, then flicker back to life, showing something impossible. A dark figure appeared on the screens, moving in ways that defied reality. It floated through walls, slid across ceilings, and seemed to hover in the hallways where no one should be. At first, I thought it was a camera malfunction, maybe a wiring issue, but the glitches kept getting worse, and the figure became more defined. It had no face, just a shadowy shape with eyes like deep voids pulling in all the light. Heart pounding, I grabbed my flashlight and decided to check the hallways myself. The corridors were empty, silent, except for the soft hum of the ventilation system and the faint click of my boots on the tile floor. I returned to the security room and stared at the monitors. The figure was still there, standing just behind my chair on the screen, watching me. I whipped around so fast my neck cracked. Nothing, just empty air. Then it happened. I felt something cold brush my shoulder, icy fingers like frost creeping across my skin. I froze, every muscle tight with fear. I didn't dare move or breathe too loudly. The building seemed to hold its breath with me. For the rest of the night, I sat rigid in the security room, eyes darting between the flickering monitors, waiting for dawn like a man awaiting rescue from a nightmare.